Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, hopefully everybody did pretty well with Roku yesterday. Roku was definitely a strong mover. Wasn't the most fluent moving stock in terms of quick price movements. Very fluent candles. We had a lot of back and forth kind of choppier candles, so to speak, but nonetheless, still a really good day there on Roku. Yeah, so let's see. Good morning from New York. Ken, good morning. Or Josh. Where is a good entry for Roku? I can tell you where potential good entries for Roku can be, but I can't tell you exactly where it's going to happen because the entries typically form intraday at specific levels, but which or how and when they form is all the million-dollar question, and that's why when it comes to trading, you have to be very active and watching the intraday setups. So we will definitely take a look at Roku here. Wow, 48 grand on Roku. Very nice, Robbie. Very nice. Columbus Day, I don't believe in Columbus Day. Columbus Day is it's false. It's fake news. No. Yeah, I don't celebrate Columbus Day personally. If they'd actually start teaching it correctly in the history books that are taught in America about how Christopher Columbus came here and basically slaughtered a bunch of Indians and stole land, then I'd be, more for celebrating the truth of Columbus Day. But they don't teach it the way it's supposed to be taught. So, let's see. Good morning. Thoughts on Snapchat? I don't know. We'll see. GE Energy, TNK. Yeah, so we'll take a look. We'll start here with Roku, right? So this chart is always a little awkward. It's probably because the auto SR. I'm about to take that off. I don't really need it here. Give me a second. Yeah, that's better. So anyways, we've been waiting for a while for the Roku breakout, which happened yesterday and made some decent money trading it. Today, don't expect Roku to have anywhere, I don't want to say that for sure, but many times you're not going to get as good of a day as you had the previous day. So we had the first initial breakout day here for Roku on this bounce move. Usually today would not be as big as yesterday or nearly as good as yesterday. So today I would simply just be following it for, a quick early morning continuation move. I mean, it's possible that it has another big day, but more oftentimes than not, after a really big day, you'll probably get some follow through the next day, but it's not as big as the previous day. So today, going forward on Roku, I'm still watching it long bias, but I'm only watching it long bias for a continuation move. So what I mean by that is, maybe take like half this. See this move here? Like this was pretty much the move for the day on Roku right there. And then it dipped and it grinded here, but pretty much take that move and put it in half. That's the move I'd be looking for. Half of what this did yesterday. That would be the move that I'd be anticipating to happen. How do I come up with half? It's just I've been trading for a while, and these are typically the moves I generally would see. So we'll still follow it for a continuation. I'll show you guys a couple points to maybe pay attention to, which would be off the daily chart. No, 4-hour chart. So here's you see this, we had that big down day here on Roku. We had the dip, and then it kind of bounced here. And that lies right at 122.05. So from where we're currently at, which is at about 119, 118-ish, 122.05 would be 3.5 points, almost 4 points. Roku's average true range is about $8 a day, $7 a day. So if it does move 3.5 points, almost 4 points up, that would be half of, again, Roku's average true range on the day. So I would say probably 122.50 would be a good area to, kind of watch for a target sell area if it does have a nice move up, right? And then ultimately, like 135s would be a great target, to sell at if we do get there, on the longer time frame, if that makes sense, okay? Oh, wow. Sorry. Didn't even know I wasn't sharing that screen the whole time. That is embarrassing, but whatever. Who cares, honestly? All right, so how do we go back through that? Well, the only thing we really need to explain is the fact that this is the level I was talking about, 122.50. You see this little dip bounce right there. That would be kind of the ultimate target sell area that I would be looking at today. But other than what I've said, I mean, that was really the only thing that visually you'd have to see, other than the little other thing I did. But ideally, how big of a day yesterday it had, I wouldn't anticipate it to have, again, that same big day. I would anticipate it to maybe push up to 122. Now, of course, it could be very, very wrong, and it could have an extremely big day. And if it does, that's also great too. But I just wouldn't anticipate it to have anywhere as big of a day as it had yesterday. Syria-Turkey conflict. Honestly, I'm not caught up enough on the Syria-Turkey conflict to know exactly why they're fighting. But at the end of the day, I am 100% behind not being involved in wars. There's zero. Well, actually, there's many reasons as to why the United States feels that they have to be the world police, and that's because of allies and helping out one another and being friends. But it's like, we should not have to police the rest of the world because we're friends, right? Like, just because me and you are friends doesn't mean that I have to back you in every single stupid fight and enemy that you have. Those are, again, some of your issues. I can if I choose to, but I shouldn't have to, right? And this is a situation where I strongly feel America just needs to stop being involved in foreign wars. Can you see Tesla later? Let's see. What do you think about SLV? Can you explain the gold-silver ratio? No, I cannot explain the gold-silver ratio. But what I can tell you about SLV and gold is that they are precious metals. And when the markets are in scary times and et cetera, people flee into gold and silver. And the likelihood that gold and silver continues rising over the next 4 or 5 years is probably pretty likely, because we'll most likely see a recession, and if not a crash or a depression or just some type of downturn in the market, which will most likely have investors fleeing money into precious metals. And then the fact that we have such bad debt, and then that the fiat currency that we have really isn't worth anything, and then we're having a global shift into cryptocurrency or some type of digital formatting currency that is supposed to not be able to be manipulated by government bodies, there's a good chance that you could possibly even see fiat US dollar currency completely crash, which would then also cause the price of gold and silver just to go flying. So a lot of what ifs and potentials going on with currency right now. Gold and silver. All right, BBY. Next one. So you'll see BBY, Bed Bath & Beyond, had a pretty decent move up here this morning, kind of fading out right now. I'm only watching the stock long because I can't short it. If I could short it, then I'd also be optimistic on a short play. But since I can't short it, I'm only optimistic on a long play. So at this point, I'm only watching BBY long. So BBY had news that the chief merchant officer or chief merchant person at Target is now going to be taking the lead or CEO position at Bed Bath & Beyond, and trying to, of course, turn the company around more from what they're currently at. So with that being said, Bed Bath & Beyond is up currently on news that they are getting a new CEO, which is coming from Target, whom at Target was the merchant chief advisor or something. So they're up pretty big. For me, really, the 1250 mark is right up here, this red dotted line. The 1250 is really the significant point that I would believe we'd see a nice move up and over. And the reason being is this top little wick here comes from a previous earnings report where people obviously were selling into and then turning into a short play. So I believe that is a nice resistance mark that if we can get up and over, we could see a nice squeeze and long push. But considering Best Buy is only $12, and then if you look at the move that it's had so far this morning from 9 all the way to 12.35, that's a pretty big move already. Or excuse me, like 9.80, 10 to 12.35. So it's about a $2.40, 50 cent move. Already a pretty big move already. So again, the likelihood that this just rips up and goes through 12.50, pretty optimistic. But I think it's still worth watching because there can still be some moves. So in terms of like support holds, you could look for BBY to continue holding around 1160 because you have 2 bounces right there. So that's a short-term intermediate support level, and then they also had a small breakout there. If it breaks through that, you could look for a dip buy kind of bounce trade off of 1125, which is this pullback and bounce right there. Cool, good stuff. Snap, I'll take a look at Snap here. Yeah, Snapchat's not a stock I particularly keep a close eye on very well. Yeah, so already not a big fan of the way it looks. Easy to borrow. Yeah, this is... Well, here's the thing is, unless Snapchat has extreme volume, then it trades like absolute just shit. I'll just tell you that. It just trades like garbage. You can see it. I mean, when you look at these candles, right, look at these candles. I mean, it's a barcode, right? It's never fun to trade a stock that barcodes, which is basically that, when it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, so typically not fun to be trading that. But I will say if it could break down this $14 support level, it could turn into a nice short. So that's it. If it holds this 14, you could be looking for a nice long, and if it breaks down, you could be looking for a nice short. So pretty much I would just be playing this over under 14. Pretty much, yeah. I would be just an over under player on Snapchat at 14. Well, yeah, police. Yeah, if for any second you think that anything that has to do with government isn't about money, control, and power, then again, you're right. I don't know what planet you live on. So, and again, that's another very important tip coming from just someone who's only 26 years old. Anything that has to do with government, it's always about more money, more control, and more power. Always. Whatever it is, right? So the only candidates that I ever really want to vote into office are people that are trying to have the government less powerful, less controlling, and with less money. And if that's the case, all the power goes back to the people, the freedom goes back to the people, and the money goes back to the people. That's kind of people I want in government. But again, that will probably never happen because governments are too big, too powerful, and have too much money to let some silly little peasant with great ideas even come close to stopping their agenda. All right, let's see. Dude, please give a look at FEYE. All right, let's do it. What's up with FEYE? Yes, FEYE. FEYE looks like pretty slow grinder. Not something I'd particularly day trade myself. A downtrending stock, kind of. So this is a recent IPO over the past 3 years. Does it go back any further? It goes back way further. So yeah, based on like the 10-year chart, I'd say this is probably not the best company. We were at 97, trading at 97. Now we're down at 14. So it's definitely lost a lot of value. It probably doesn't have a very big average true range. What is the ATR here? Actually, give me a second. Oh, it doesn't tell me there. Anyways, yeah, so this has a pretty low ATR, not a whole lot of volume. It's probably not something that I myself would particularly be trading. And, I mean, naturally it does this. It kind of bounces up for a while, and then it kind of falls back into a short. Right around the earnings reports, it tends to do that. And you have an earnings report coming up probably pretty soon here, next couple months. So I'd say it probably resumes back into its downtrend the way it has been trading, which would look something like this. Kind of down, down. So we're getting pretty close to that trend. All right, going up to 17. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't deny it. Yeah, if it goes up to 17, that's an awesome trade for you. Great work. Go to 17 in the next 20 days. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very possible. All right. Thoughts on GE, which is an energy stock, right? I'll take a look. And then we'll touch on Netflix too. GE dollar bounce. I would be selling that. I'd probably be on the sell side. Let me double check. Yeah, so you have the big move down, you just bounced, now it's selling off, so that makes sense. It's doing what it should be doing, which is selling off to the downside. Probably not going to get a whole lot of great opportunity long bias on this for now. Yeah, I would probably hold off on it. That's just it, right? Big move down, big bounce. Now you're into the sell. You'll most likely see like a short-term intermediate bounce, probably somewhere around $1.60, where we had the curl and breakout. That's your like little support level. So if it gets down to $1.60, it'll probably bounce 20, 30 cents maybe. All right. BBY, Trenton. BBY, we already went over. It's worth watching today. They had news that the CEO, or not CEO, but some guy from Target's now going to be the CEO. And it's just up a little bit. So we're going to look at Netflix. I hope Netflix didn't roll over and drop out this morning already. That'd be great. It has not. So, all right, if we look at Netflix, where's the support? Support is like right, kind of like right here, which is also arguable. It kind of broke down right here. All right, so come on. All right, if you look at Netflix, right, we'll just kind of go through. We bounced, we kind of go up, we bounce, we come down, hit support, bounce, down, break support, sells off, gets to a new support, hold right around here. We kind of go below, hover, hang out on it, hang out. Now we're back below, kind of rejecting. So as long as Netflix kind of stays below 266.38, I believe we're looking at Netflix for a short. You can kind of see we've been slightly trending down here. And so if we can kind of start getting Netflix back below some of the low a day marks from yesterday and pre-market lows today, I'd probably be following Netflix for a short. Doesn't have to. And then also if you look at this chart, right, we kind of had our move down. We just went up sideways and now we're rolling back over. So this could be the start of a new kind of leg down to at least test the previous bounce level as a support, or one of these long wick candles as support. So kind of keep Netflix on watch for a short trade, Roku on watch for a long, BBY on watch for a long, only because it's not shortable today. DAL. No, it stays Thursday. Yeah, I gotta work. Yeah, so DAL had earnings. That's going to the downside right now. Haven't really been following DAL too much, and I've never really been a big fan of trading them myself. But you're right, DAL did have earnings, and it is something worth watching. Yeah, my anti-government rants, really, they are good, though. I mean, they're quick, they're to the point, and I always think they make sense. I think they're pretty good. I don't. I don't know. It's like, it's like, do you want to live in your parents' house forever and depend on your parents to support you for forever? No. Who in the hell would want to do that? Sorry, Mom and Dad, if you're watching this. I love you guys, but no, not happening. Same thing. Why would you ever want to feel that you have to be dependent on a government body so that you can walk, live, and breathe throughout your day-to-day life, and it doesn't make sense. Why would you ever want that? Anyways. All right. General market analysis. That I was supposed to do like 10 days ago, but I am going to do that today. I'll give a whole breakdown on the SPY, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, maybe even the Russell 2000. And I'm going to do a whole financial kind of technical analysis breakdown coming up pretty soon. And then I'm going to try and mix in a couple of the hit news pieces that we've been hitting with recently, which I know we're talking with China on trade talks, which is just a bunch of bullshit again. But there's a lot of like economic things that have been happening lately that'll try and tie into that analysis today as well. Where do you find the pre-market watch list? I make my own pre-market watch list. So I don't really, from the stock market, I find the stocks in the stock market. Some of them come from scanners. Some of them just come from watching the market every day. And then I make the watch list and then I put the watch list on YouTube. So yeah, I just build it from a few different areas. REAL. So A grade the stocks that I am watching today are Roku, Netflix, and BBY. Oh, I said that in the title wrong. It says BBY. It's BBBY. Yeah, I've made a couple videos on scanners. Yeah. Tesla breakdown is I would not be trading Tesla right now. If anything, I'd probably be on the sell side of Tesla. We said this yesterday that wouldn't expect it to have a crazy big day, which it had a decent day, not a really, really big day. But it's right into like a resistance sell zone. So I would just imagine that you're probably going to see more like sort of like choppier, grindy, less fluent movement on Tesla, which happened yesterday. I mean, it kind of jumped up and then it came down, then it jumped up, then it came down. It was kind of doing this back and forth grind. Not very fluent, but just back and forth grind, right? So generally when I'm trading, I'm looking for stocks that I believe can be in the setups to have fluent moves. If they're not going to be fluent and relatively easy, less stressful, then I try to avoid them. And Tesla just seems like it's in a spot that, sure, there's probably ways to make money on it, but is it going to be easier? Is it going to be less stressful? Probably not. So I'll avoid it until it's in a situation where I believe it could have a nice fluent moving day. All right. Real. Yes, I'll take a look at real fast. Real fast. Oh, hold on. 1 second. Okay, if I could type, that'd be great. Maybe we should go back to school. All right. Is this a recent IPO? Yes, recent IPO. So you can't even short it. All right, cool. I would not be a day trader on this stock, and the reason being it's too light on volume. You can see it kind of goes back and forth, similar to a barcoding stock, but again, just kind of back and forth. You can still make money on it trading it intraday, but this is just not something that I particularly trade, and especially if you're day trading, this is not something you're probably going to want to day trade. If anything, you're going to have to be a swing trader on this. And again, recent IPOs are always very challenging because they don't have a lot of chart history. So, from a technical side, but let's look at the RSI here. Hold on. I would probably watch to see if this move, this bounce that we're on, if this breaks it to a new high above this previous high, oh, you can't even short, so it doesn't even matter. I was going to say if this breaks up above this high while the RSI is lower than this high, I'd short, but you can't short. So, yeah, that's not going to work, eh? I probably wouldn't do anything with this. I don't know enough about the company. Recent IPO, so not a lot of chart history to go off of. I would probably just, myself, I wouldn't do anything with REAL right now. I can tell you this. I mean, this is the short-term sell point, which it already kind of rejected. If I extend this to the left, you see where it's at? Right there, right? So it comes down, snap, big breakdown, big sell volume. That's where your resistance is at, right there, at like 2250. Oh, believe me, I have a ton of information. Also, just so you know, also was watching and read something interesting yesterday. It was that the mob was probably behind the killing of John F. Kennedy. But hey, we're not into conspiracy or anything, you know. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Reality Income Corp. I don't know who that would be. So yeah, anyways, it's 9 o'clock. So Netflix, we're going to be watching short. Roku, still watching long. And then BBY is just on watch for fun because it had a really nice gap up. And, you know, those can always be fun. So BBY, Bed Bath & Beyond, Netflix, and Roku for me today. Maybe something pops up on the scanners that we don't know about. I highly doubt any penny stocks will pop up today because penny stocks just decided that they don't want to have any good days anymore. Really hoping this winter season we start picking up on them. That's usually how it goes, but it just seems like it's been forever. It'd be nice to start putting some penny stocks on the watch list. It'd be nice to actually be able to trade a couple good penny stocks. They just haven't been around. All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys all tomorrow morning for another watch list. And as always, stay green.